8 p.m. news on STV coming up. 4 hours is what is left for the second mandate of FECAFOOT's Normalization Committee to end, with the task of organizing elections into Cameroon's Football Association still not achieved. Are we heading to a new mandate extension by FIFA? Cameroonians, however, await an answer. A 100% success is what new delegates of secondary education must achieve this new school year. Those to head the Northwest and Southwest regions have to equally enroll many students. Those were top stories. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We begin in politics with the president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, Maurice Kamto, who has called on the population of the Northwest and Southwest regions to massively take part on the October 7 presidential elections. Before journalists in Yaoundé, the presidential candidates revealed that removing President Paul Biya through the ballot is a step toward solving the Anglophone crisis. Peter Sossi.
The deepening armed conflict in the Northwest and Southwest regions remains preoccupying for the Cameroon Renaissance Movement as the October 7 presidential elections narrows down. At a press conference in Yaoundé, the party's leader and candidate for the elections, Maurice Kamto, has dismissed the optimism of the election management body ELECAM in guaranteeing free, fair, transparent and credible elections in the restive zones.
We would have loved to go to election with all our compatriots from Northwest and Southwest. But obviously that will not be the case. And it is painful.
The volatile atmosphere is increasing voter apathy in the regions, triggered by either security concerns or the loss in confidence in the political class. But the presidential aspirant believes that boycotting the polls is not an option.
Just go to elections because it is the only way to get rid of the poor leadership of this country and settle the matter once for all.
Maurice Kamto maintains that his party will take part in the elections in order to flush out incumbent Paul Biya, who to him has rough-handled the crisis.
From our own point of view, it is the only way, the only chance for now to overcome the hardship, the killings, and the current situation which is unbearable in the what we call the Anglophone zone or areas.
The Cameroon Renaissance Movement has lauded ELECAM's move to remove polling stations from military barracks, but wants the election management organ to clarify another thorny issue, that of ghost polling stations.
The Douala 1, 3 and 5 councils now have new administrative and finance features. The secretaries general of these municipalities have been installed today alongside the municipal a special mission, that of collaborating with your respective mayors. The instructions were dished out by the SDO for Vuri while commissioning them.
Decentralization must transcend paperwork to concrete action, and the collaboration between the Secretary General, Municipal Treasurer and the Mayor is essential to its successful implementation. This is a recommendation from the Senior Divisional Officer of the Vuri Division to the Secretaries General of the Douala 1, 3 and 5 councils, as well as the Municipal Treasurer of the Douala 5 Council during their installation in Douala Friday.
Them to develop good relationship with municipal mayor because they are the main collaborators, meant to animate the accounting part of the council and the administrative part of the council.
Bad blood has always flowed in most councils due to recurrent conflicts between the mayor, who is elected, and his appointed administrative and financial aides. But the Vuri boss is upbeat that such wranglings could be diffused if the provisions of the 2004 decentralization laws are followed.
Generals and municipal treasurers are appointed by the state. It's obvious. But they are main mayor collaborators. They have to be fully involved within these administrations. They have to help mayors.
Basi Teres is one of the new administrative chiefs of the Douala 1 Council, and she is aware of the mission ahead.
I will do my work as the state of Cameroon asked me.
The officials were appointed on December 2017, with some already assuming duties before their official installation.
Less than 48 hours to the start of the 2018-2019 school year, stakeholders of the secondary education community for the littoral region have devised techniques to ensure 100% success this academic year. They met this Friday here in Douala in a meeting chaired by the Secretary General at the Littoral Regional Governor's Office. Darling Fuju.
Meeting at the Littoral Governor's Office this 31st of August in Douala, stakeholders of the secondary education sector for the Littoral region strategize on a number of mechanisms for better results during the 2018-2019 school year.
What we have provided as advice to the member of the educative community is that they should mobilize themselves, they should work close together so that we should have more fruitful results than this year. We have to prepare this coming year based on a balance sheet that should be drawn from the action that were put into place during the year which is ending.
The new reforms introduced by the Minister of Secondary Education was also at the center of this preparatory meeting.
Okay, the new program that we have received concern for this year, the Francophone. It doesn't mean that there's nothing that will be done with the Anglophones. You have realized that for the students that were doing the technical exams, they will have to go in various enterprises to make practices, better practices than what were done before. So this way will be continued. Then we'll surely take 1 year to see what has been the failure of what will be done so far, and then to see what can be implemented better.
The hurdles of securing prescribed textbooks for the coming school year was not ignored.
We are facing a problem of lack of books, it's true. But the first week, the teachers will be in class, but at least they will make something like a diagnosis of the student they have in front. So they can teach without books for some time, because it's not only teaching with books that makes the teaching. So they have many ways. That's why when I'll be speaking some minutes later or an hour later, I'll be talking about it.
The regional delegate for secondary education also assured that the digital payment of fees will be effective in all parts of the Littoral region.
In the Southwest region, Dr. Hannah Mbua-Etonde has stressed on the need for parents to send their children to school. This was during her installation ceremony today as regional delegate for secondary education as she took over from Yiwo Victor. Pelagie Ekweni, Tebo Shedrak with the details.
From inception, Dr. Hannah Etonde Mbua is the first lady to occupy the position of a regional head for secondary education in the Southwest region. Having worked in Boya for a period of 1 year, this is the outgoing delegate for secondary education, Mr. Yiwo Victor, officially handing over the battle of command here in Boya to Dr. Hannah Mbua-Etonde according to ministerial decree under the close supervision of the Inspector General at the Southwest Governor's Office, Dr. Muhammadu, who reacted positively towards this appointment while highlighting the following recommendations.
She's the right person at the right place. I think it's a very good news, it's a very good thing for the family education for the Southwest region. We just call her to do her best because she has competence, she has experience for this task. The challenge that she has now is in the next 3 days, the resumption of schools. Who is a very big challenge for us, and I think she has total competence and whole competence and experience to succeed in this mission.
The incumbent on her part could not hide her joy as she appealed for parents to send their children to school.
I would just like to appeal to parents, guardians and students that they should all go to school on Monday the 3rd. There is nothing that we can trade education with.
During the ceremony, Mr. Yiwo Victor did not fail to welcome his predecessor into her new position and further called on Dr. Hannah Mbua-Etonde to courageously brave up with the current socio-political crisis. For challenges, he says, are nothing to bank up with because he is much more confident that the incoming is up to the task. It should be recalled that the new regional delegate for secondary education for Southwest region has served as principal at GHS Bojongo, followed by GHS Bukwango, where her stay was long-lived, and finally at Government Bilingual Grammar School Muliko Buya, still in the same capacity, before her recent appointment.
Southwest Governor Benao Kaliabilai has equally told parents to accompany their children to school Monday. This was at a conference organized by the Regional Delegation of Basic Education in Buya in a bid to finalize activities for this year's school preparations. Pelagie Ekwini reports.
With the endless quest by administrators in the Southwest region for schools to open its doors come Monday, September 3rd, 2018, this is the first educational sectorial conference organized by the Regional Delegation for Basic Education for the year 2018-2019 school year. Holding at the Public Service Hall in Buya, the governor of the Southwest region, Bernard Okaliabilai, continued to encourage parents to assist teachers by accompanying their children to school.
Teachers is a word of encouragement. They did it well last year, and they are mobilizing to do it better this year, because all of us, we have realized that education is necessary for the construction of a society, a community.
Mindful of the academic hurdles experienced last year within the Southwest region, the governor further reiterated the importance of education in the lives of young children.
You still remember how students, children and parents were happy for those who enjoyed success in the last school year. Those who were not there are regretting. That's why all of them are mobilized to go back to school this year, and we have to accompany them, particularly the parents. We have to sustain the effort of teachers so that they feel that what they are doing is very important, not only for the state, but for each and all the parents.
Governor Bernard Okaliabilai further appealed on teachers to take precautions and exercise a high level of social contact amongst teachers and learners in a bid to achieve the Head of State's 2035 policy put in place to better the educational sector of the country. It should be recalled that this year's conference is liaised under the theme Competency-Based Approach in Basic, Nursery and Primary School for Lifelong and Sustainable Development.
Just 2 days left for the 2018-2019 school year to officially begin. Some parents in the northwest region of Cameroon have unwillingly sent their children to different regions so they can study. Others are still in doubt as to whether schools will reopen or not in the region. Lovett Bear, Ignatius Samabo.
72 hours to the start of the 2018-2019 academic year. One would expect the streets of Commercial Avenue, Bamenda, and the entrance to the main market to be full with assorted school items and parents forcing their way into the market to purchase their children's school needs. With this core attitude, one would think some of these parents are less concerned about back to school, not knowing some are playing a hide-and-seek game, while others are simply observing.
Business don't improve past how we did for the past 2 years.
Business has improved compared to the past 2 years. Although some parents are still sending their children to school out of the region, others have decided to bring back their kids. They are waiting to see the schools that will resume effectively before they give me their commands for their children's pullovers. Many parents have already assured me, but the problem is they haven't yet decided where their children will school this academic year. Most parents seem to have seen the importance of education this year. They are just waiting to see the schools that will resume effectively. Book vendors say most of their customers come from different regions.
Most of the parents we are seeing now, they pick a few books. Their parents going to other regions. Their parents sponsoring their children in other regions than the parents in Bamenda. The text, they cannot satisfy the parents that are asking. The demand is too high, but we're not seeing the books. My own customers in Bamenda here, be waiting for that, they are not coming. Well, I don't know whether they have their own day or resumption.
There's no business. You see, the only people that come to buy are people that are from Douala, Yaoundé. When the people that are coming from Yaoundé come with the list that you not even have a single book to sell.
Tellers too haven't given up as they have continued exhibiting assorted uniforms in front of their workshops, waiting for any parent who shows up at any time. Despite the cool attitude from parents in the Northwest region towards back to school, most of them seem to be preparing underground, while others are simply waiting to see if schools will resume before they prepare their kids.
Back here in Douala, some traders at the Bona Musadi market have lost huge sums of money as their shops sunk in fire. The cause of the inferno, which broke out at about 11 p.m. last night, is still not known. John Paul Sama.
Second-hand book sports, the all new routine for some families in the economic capital.
When I was small, my father had the habit of coming here to buy my book.
A choice motivated by several factors.
And I have learned from him that here I can find most of all the books. While when I go to the first shop, I find this book and I have to run to another first shop to find another again and again, repeat this all over. It's tiring. When it is an old book, it's supposed to be cheaper.
Visiting a second-hand book spot at Daido in the Douala 1 municipality, the usual hustle and bustle recorded during this period was absent, a situation which vendors partially attribute to the unavailability of some prescribed textbooks.
I was just saying that the business have not yet started. Yes, the English reader we are selling because English parents are coming. But for the French side, we are still waiting because the official books are not yet available. Yes. No, English are available. You see, those are English readers, they are available. Not all of them, but the majority. And the English side is more easier because since their readers are available, we have realized that there are not too much modification with the old ones, so we are selling. Yes. Although there are new edition, but we are doing with it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Selling already used books, they say, is tougher.
To 20%. It means that when you sell it at 4,000, you have 800. Normally, in a bookshop, it is like that. Yes. But we here, we need to make you need to convince the parents, and it took too much time because when the parents came here, it came for an old reader. You know, easy now to convince him, you see. Yes, you have to talk too much to convince him, and with that, you need to make him a percentage, to give him a percentage of 5%, 3, 4, according to what he avoids.
These vendors of second-hand books in Douala pray for better sales once all the prescribed textbooks will be available.
The Darling Fojo, who spoke with some second-hand booksellers here in Douala to find out how the sales are unfolding. We now join John Paul Sama to get more information on the inferno that broke out at the Bona Musadi market last night. That was about 11 p.m. and consumed scores of shops.
It was total shock and confusion at the Bona Musadi market this Friday morning as some unfortunate traders whose shops went up in flames were taken aback by the devastating fire outbreak, which is said to have begun at about 11 p.m. I was called and told that the market is on fire, and when we got here, we found the ruins from the outbreak. There were tailors here and others who sold second-hand goods. We are left with nothing now. The consequences of this fire outbreak has left so many persons weeping over the loss of millions of francs CFA. I opened a bill of dresses yesterday of over 600,000 francs CFA without counting the others which were in the store. All some could do was try and dig through the pile of ash to salvage what they could. This is not the first time this market is being hit by fire, but what baffles the traders is the fact that it all happened under the heavy downpour, while the cause of the fire outbreak is yet to be determined.
Let's get news out of Cameroon with VOA.
At the peak of election clashes this month, 74-year-old President Yoweri Museveni took to Facebook to address the nation's youth. In a series of letters, he referred to young Ugandans who spearheaded protests over opposition arrests as his grandchildren. Museveni mentioned comedian Richard Twanje by name. Twanje says it is time for Uganda's elders to listen to the youth.
So the youth that we see that have caused a political storm, yeah, that have shaken the status quo, are the youth that have cared and dared to elevate their mental position on matters, development, politics, and economics.
It's appropriate that Museveni, who has ruled Uganda for more than 3 decades and could rule for life, should reach out to young people. More than 75% of Uganda is under the age of 30, the youngest population in the world, and many are growing tired of their aging leader. But ardent supporters insist the president takes the younger generation into account and should not be blamed for all of Uganda's problems.
President Museveni is not a youth, but in his programs, in his policies, in his undertakings, he has created space for the youth relevant issues to be undertaken by the government. So that is the totality of leadership.
But Uganda's youth are looking to a leader half Museveni's age, Robert Kyagulanyi, the musician-politician known as Bobby Wine. Authorities charge Kyagulanyi with treason, seen by many as an attempt to stem his growing popularity.
Bobby Wine has the capacity to attract the listeners, first of all. Then he has the capacity to deliver the message. And he has the capacity to deliver a message that fits in the thinking of the young people, that the future is ours. The future is not theirs. And it makes sense. If you are 75, what future do you have?
But while Museveni said he would address youth issues such as unemployment, he cautioned any political violence would be met with deadly force. Halima Athmani for VOA News, Kampala, Uganda.
In a few hours, the second mandate of Fecafoot's Normalization Committee will end. Dieudonné Api's rule was extended on February 27, 2018 to run through to August 31, 2018. That is, of course, today. Will the committee be able to organize fresh elections into Fecafoot? The question is on every lip. In the meantime, John Paul Sama looks at the root of this Normalization Committee.
On the 13th of September 2017, Barrister Dieudonné Happy said, and I quote, "I would not want to hear about prolongation here. You have people in front of you who will do their work in 6 months." That word couldn't be and hasn't been backed by action, as the 5-man team failed to carry out their task, which was handed them to rewrite the text governing the body and organize fresh elections into the Chinga Glass House. 6 months later, when their first mandate had expired in March, a delegation from FIFA and CAF landed in the country to extend the mandate of the committee in order for them to be able to complete their task. Another 6 months was added to the Normalization Committee's mandate to expire on August 31st, 2018. The committee, however, during their second mandate, brought the calendar for elections into the country's FA, but was cancelled by FIFA, citing the fact that the 2011 sports law on the modification of the law governing sporting activities in Cameroon be revised by the parliament before elections can go on. But since the text was adopted by the upper house of assembly on July 11th, nothing has filtered from the committee members on elections, leaving Cameroonians perplexed on what next for the country's football fate. Perhaps a déjà vu situation in the making, similar to the Joseph Owona-led committee, which took over 19 months to organize a 700 million franc CFA elections, which ended up being annulled by the world football's governing body. How long does Cameroonians have to wait for the Normalization Committee to normalize affairs at Fecafoot, with barely 11 months to the 2019 African Cup of Nations to be hosted by Cameroon? Only time will tell.
It is with John Paul Sama that we wrap up this Friday 8 p.m. newscast on STV. Thanking you so much for watching and, of course, wishing you a wonderful weekend.